Hello, my name is Lauren Nicole Mills, and this is my channel, LaLaVa333, and I am a Reiki practitioner. This year marks my 20th year as a Reiki practitioner, which is astounding to say. It was the first modality that I ever picked up in my healing bag. And I definitely feel very passionate about sharing Reiki. However, I've always been kind of quiet about it being something I do. So my journey with Reiki began, my father passed away a week after my 21st birthday, and it sent me kind of in a whirlwind, asking questions and reading books, and that was kind of my spiritual awakening. Hey, go lay down. It was my spiritual awakening, and I pretty much decided that I needed to go on a journey to discover myself, and I was very fortunate and lucky that my path led me first and foremost through my aunt and uncle, who at the time, their home, they were living on a farm up in Oregon, and my aunt was a Reiki level 1 practitioner, and she was a nurse, and it was just kind of one of those things that she kind of held dear to her, but anyway, I almost stopped it, but I'm gonna make myself keep going. Anyway, she didn't make that big of a deal that she knew Reiki. She certainly never pushed it on me. However, it opened the door just enough, being where I was in life, like months after my father died. Anyway, through Oregon, I was on this great adventure, and I ended up in Colorado, and from Colorado, I ended up in Arizona. And the reason why I bring up Colorado is that was the very first place, the very first metaphysical bookstore experience I ever had. I had a roommate who lived in Colorado who moved back to be with her parents, and I'm not going to get into the details about what brought me to Colorado, but I mean, obviously there was bits and pieces from my dad dying and just trying to figure life out. And anyway, Laura took me to my very first metaphysical bookstore, and this was my experience there. I'm a newbie. I'm just green. I don't know anything. My dad just died. I read Celestine Prophecy. That was my first book. And that, anyway, but the bookstore was this like mecca of connections. And I started crying and I started babbling to the owner. I think I'm supposed to work here. And bless her spirit, she gently told me, why don't I enjoy the store as much as possible and come back as much as possible and gain in knowledge and wisdom. And then we would, I mean, she didn't leave it as we'll see what happens, but she gently guided me. And that was, and I believe when I was in Colorado, for some reason, I was just a sponge for information about rocks and crystals, because I had a broken heart and I was trying to feel better, and just so many questions when a dear one dies, you know, it just, Pandora's box is open. So anyway, I felt right at home within the spiritual community within Colorado. Being a green newbie, I don't know how it happened, but I ended up at some Reiki practitioner's office, and asking her. I remember she had a little pot of stones, and I remember saying, "What's that?" You know, probably my real first introduction to rocks and minerals. I mean, there was definitely little cosmic nudges that I loved rocks before that, but this lady had rocks in a bowl, and it was just so intriguing. And she practiced Reiki, and I didn't even know. I mean, my aunt said she practiced it, but I had no idea what it was. And so this lady, she gave me a little definition of what Reiki was. We didn't do a session, but she gave me enough information to obviously keep me going, because my next stop landed me in Arizona because of my father's family was there. And so I was trying to, again, be part of the healing process, their healing process, and deal with my own healing process, and just be so young in my 20s. And so I found myself working, I mean, I had all this restaurant experience, and I found myself, nice restaurant experience, but I found myself working in a little stoner deli because it was right next door to a metaphysical bookstore. Because again, they wouldn't hire me because I didn't know much of anything. I mean, I was just green. Remembering. Anyway, but there was classes they offered there, and I found myself in this, I believe it was 1999. I'm going to double check my certificates. I took my very first Reiki class, level 1, and and it was a spiritual awakening. I did have what I consider a little bit of a spiritual awakening in my head, being communicated with by a higher source, more specifically the goddess. And it was really, I mean, Reiki, being introduced to, taking that, they call it an attunement, level 1 attunement, you know, just really opened a door for me. And I will rewind just a little bit. I had been interested in the healing arts, only to the degree of being super interested in acupuncture. I mean, it was a long story. A lot happened the year my dad died. Yeah, a lot happened. And that would be off subject to fill in little bits and pieces. But to make a long story short, Reiki was my first healing art that, yeah, I stepped into. So through the years, and right after that, I did get master attunement, but I've never really felt comfortable saying I'm a master and doing attunements for people. I have done them, but you know, the person I am is that I really try to own a lot of things before I share it with people. And I have been practicing Reiki for 20 years. After Reiki, I found my way into massage school, and I proceeded to have an 18/19-year career practicing massage therapy. And so it was always something I offered on the side. But now it's interesting. And first, I do want to mention that there's many, many, many types of Reiki. There are so many kinds of Reiki and so many modalities. And the modality that I say that mine is from is the Usani. I hope I'm saying it right. But it's Japanese. And I don't think I practice Reiki the way everybody else does. I know there's a lot of protocols, and there's a lot of symbols, there's a lot of people getting information, and I embrace all of it, except I don't even know what anybody else is doing with their Reiki. I have been pretty much practicing Reiki on a daily basis for 20 years. It's always seems to be in my day one way or another. And I've learned a lot through it. I've learned a lot about healing, and for me, what the essence of a true healer is not somebody who imposes their willpower on the outcome of the Reiki session, if that's what their modality is that they're practicing. And I say that because there's many different ways of working with energy, and that's exciting because I think is, nobody really, Reiki's kind of always been in the background, but nobody really knows what it is. They just, I don't know. I mean, they're aware it's an energy, and so it is. When you get an attunement, you are, I'll say, blessed with a symbol, and you learned a symbol, and then you work with this symbol as you send out your intention. And so a Reiki session is, it is my intention to send Reiki to a person, place, thing, situation. You can really apply Reiki to so many different sorts of things. And I have. I really, really, really have. I've been playing with the Reiki energy for a very long time. And it is an energy, much like prayer. This is, again, my opinion with working with the Reiki energy. And so, to me, what the equivalent is when somebody's having a heart attack and they use those cha-chung things. Now, Reiki's not as intense as the cha-chung, but we have to agree that it's kind of like a little electric impulse that's pulsated through the system, and it's the extreme. Reiki is very, very gentle. Sometimes people feel warm hands, sometimes you feel sensations, but it's pretty common not to feel anything at all. It's very, very gentle, very, very subtle energy. And so a traditional Reiki session, a traditional laying on of hands where the Reiki practitioner is working with somebody, the Reiki practitioner is maybe putting their hands on certain parts of the body, through the energy centers called chakras. And so it also works long distance, where you don't necessarily have to be physical contact, and it works just as well. I believe it works just as well. And Reiki energy is like prayer. There's no predictable way to ever know how or what the outcome will be with the Reiki session. And I guess that's the hardest thing to market about Reiki, to get out there. Like, well, it's this healing session where the person puts their hands and they send the intention to something, but you don't always get a tangible result. To me, it's an energy, and that energy goes to where it needs to go. So I'm just a vessel for this Reiki energy to pass, like divine energy, or I don't know, like prayer. Reiki to me is very, very similar to prayer, where you don't know how it's going to happen. You just have to trust in the Reiki, and the divine energy goes to where it needs to go. Always in alignment with the person, place, things, highest good for the benefit of all relationships. And again, the biggest thing as somebody who's a healer, and I don't even really like that word very much. I don't. An energy transmitter, a grid worker, is not to be attached to the outcome. When you're working with somebody who's obviously not doing well, or an animal that's in questionable health, it's not up to you to decipher whether it lives or dies. It's a divine energy, and that's part of our conundrum, is that we get so attached to the outcome, we want it to be our way. And so that's the biggest priority I think you have to remember is that you have to trust in the universe, this higher power, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. I just know it's divine and cosmic, and I think of it as light. And so Reiki energy taps you in, and then the energy goes to where it needs to go, and then things move and shake. And I think, it's my opinion, they move faster than they would normally move without the Reiki, without the energy transmission. So what I have decided to do is practice doing long distance transmissions. I've been calling them prayers or healings or blessings or readings. I think because I've been practicing Reiki for so long, I have gotten more and more intuitive. It's been kind of pretty cool to experience and to have confirmation. And since there's no doubt in my mind that Reiki works just as well long distance as it does one-on-one, I have decided to extend my practice and offer long distance sessions. And I have been posting them. I'm kind of stepping into new territory right now because I've never done this before. But I would love to protect the person's identity and specifics. But I do believe that if you are suffering from something, you are not the only one. And so when you have the courage to kind of open yourself up to Reiki energy and put yourself out there, and then I can focus on that. Whatever comes up for me comes up, but just sending Reiki to that intention, you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping others. I genuinely believe that. So it's going to be an exciting experiment to see what happens. Today was day 2. Yesterday was the first online Reiki video that I posted, and I put a calling out there on Instagram that I was open for people to step up. I'm offering Reiki. Does anybody have any issues? No takers on the first day. However, somebody who has become, obviously we're soul sisters for sure. She was the one, I have to give her credit where credit is due. She was the very first one to invite me to yoga with Adriene. And so if you've been following me, you know how I love yoga with Adriene, and just, that's opened a whole new world to me. And so to this person, I sincerely have the most gratitude. And so she is a hen mama. She has a whole, do they say clutch of hens? I don't know. But she has a lot of hens in the house, and one of her hens wasn't doing very well yesterday, and she posted, and she's got a GoFundMe, and she's a very creative artist, and I know she has the resources she needs to, take care of things. But I wanted to send her some love, and I just honor her and what she's up to and her love for her hens so much. So my very first online Reiki session was sent to a hen named Robin, who might be at the vet right now. And again, I don't know how Reiki's gonna help the situation for the better, or, for the better. So, the first day was a hen. And then today, I felt called to send a Reiki session out to Marianne Williamson, who announced her presidential run yesterday. And again, I will say it, it's been so long since I've been excited about the spectrum of politics. This gives me great hope. And so I just wanted to show a little love to Marianne Williamson and send a little Reiki to her journey. And again, you know, I ask that all my work be in alignment with everybody's highest good for the benefit of all relationships. I mean, I just, you know, we just got to work with that higher source. And anyway, that's why I offer Reiki, because it is my offering to humanity. It really is. It is my prayer that we're all living in alignment with our highest good for the benefit of all our relationships, so we can be everything and anything, and to be a blessing to each other, and to live in with more and more peace of mind, peace in environment, inside, outside, peace. So I hope you follow me on my Reiki journey. This is LaLaVa333 is about my journey and sharing all that I've learned, and, you know, my own personal experiences with these different healing modalities. And I'm at a place where I am just turned 42, so I've been working with this stuff for 20 years, and I'm at an exciting place, and technology is in an exciting place where I can share this journey. And, you know, above all, I want to encourage you to explore for your own self, and, you know, figure out how you feel about this. So with that being said, I wish everybody an awesome day. I'm sending out some love and light, putting things right more and more and more and more. It's all about the journey. So let's help each other. Be strong. Wishing everybody an awesome day. See you later.